What is going on, my sexy, beautiful viewers? It's RealTutsGML here, back with another basic Java tutorial, and today we're going to be learning about the constructor. Right, so let me just get rid of all this. This is from last tutorial, and if you want to see that tutorial, go ahead and just go to my playlist, and you can easily go through all of my videos. So we just have our main method here, which again, starts out the entire program. Now we're going to call the constructor for the main. Now let me go ahead and tell you what a constructor is. So basically, if you have ever used GameMaker, the software, now I'll explain it a different way if you haven't used that. But GameMaker is basically like the create event, or a constructor is basically like the create event with GameMaker. So right when the object or class is made, it gets called right away. So basically, say we wanted to create a new instance of our main and actually use it as an object. We could say new main, right? And that's going to create a new class here. And whenever you call a new class or object or something, at first it always reverts to the constructor. And this is how a constructor is made right here, right? So yeah, we could say new main. We could also say main equals new main, and that also makes one, except it stores it into a variable which we can use down here, but we're not going to do that. We're just going to say new main. So for another example, say we had a player, right? We could say new player, and say we had another class called player. So if we create a new class player, by doing that, it would automatically call the constructor, which is this right here, as you can see. So in our player here, if we say system.out.println hello in the constructor, and we play the game, as you can see, it says hello in console. Now that's a little bit advanced, using two different classes, which I will get into later on. But yeah, that's basically what it is. So I'm going to say new main here. And since our class is called main, this is how you create a constructor. You just say public, and then whatever your class is, and then the parameter parentheses, and the curly braces. So if your class name was player, you would just say public player, just like that. And there's no void or anything because it's a constructor. It doesn't return anything. So yeah, so now that we've done that, it kind of acts, if we take this right out of our main method here, this now kind of acts as the main method, because this is what it calls right away. And by doing this, we don't need to make our other methods static. So if we would have to say public static void, something, and then we could call it in here something, right? And that would work. But if we didn't make it static, it would not work, because you cannot call a non-static method within a static method. So by calling this constructor here, we can call that something method, and it would work. Right. So what I'm going to do today is we're going to make a calculator using methods, like a bunch of methods. So yeah, it's gonna be able to divide, subtract, add, and multiply. Okay. So basically, yeah, we can start that off. So I'm going to create a scanner. sc equals new scanner, and system.in. Okay. And then we can say I'll say system.out.println number 1, and then we can create the integers right here. And I'm not going to create the integers in the constructor. I'm going to create it up top, and I'm going to make them I'll just say int x, or num1, num2. Okay, and the reason why is because if we made this in the constructor here, those variables would only be for our constructor method. Same with any method. If you actually initialize and make a variable within a method, it's only local to that method. But if you make it in the actual class, not in a method, then it's global to the entire class can use it. So I'm going to say sc.nextInt num1 equals sc.nextInt, and then I'm just going to copy this and paste it. Number 2 and num2. There we go. So if we ran the game, say number 1 10, number 2 20, and actually I'm just going to do system.out.print because I don't want it to go down. So 10, 10. There we go. So now we put in the numbers. Now we're going to ask the user, and here, let me just close our scanner there so we don't get that error message or the warning message. So now that we've done that, now you want to ask, hey, do you want to multiply? Do you want to divide? Do you want to add? Or do you want to subtract? And basically, we can do this a lot of different ways. But right now, I'm just going to say system.out.print. Now, first off, we could do it like this. We can number it. So we could say 1 divide. And then here, I'll do print line. 1 divide. And then I'll put this down 4 times. And I'm running it. Okay, here we go. 2, 3, 4, and then we could say this. Multiply, subtract, and add. So now we could say system.out.print select method of calculating. And then sc.nextInt, and we could say method equals that, and I can make this an integer method. Whoops. Okay, so there we go. So hopefully this makes sense. If we go ahead and run it now, let's say 10, 10. This brings now a list down, and let me just bring this up just a little bit. So divide, subtract, divide, multiply, subtract, and add. So now we could say, you know, like 3, and that would be subtracting. Obviously, that does nothing yet. I'm just gonna put this colon here just to make it make it a little neater and all that. So say you say 1, then it'll automatically divide, subtract, multiply, or add. So now basically, once they've done that, we can break this up into a couple methods. So now, basically, before I continue on, go ahead and put this, you know, copy this down and try and do it yourself. Try and make it show, or I'm curious to know what you did to actually make it select which method of calculating it wants to use. So go ahead and do that now. Pause the video and come back when you've got that done. We'll see if you did it the same way I did. All right. So now, once they've selected that, I'm going to say I'm just gonna create a new method here. So private void choose method, and this is going to take an int method in the parameter. And now all I have to do is say choose method. If I can type. And actually, I'm gonna name this M. Okay, so there we go. So now it's going to go over here, and now and actually, you know what? This is actually going to be an int, and we're going to return that into a int calculate, and I'm just going to return M for now. Okay, I'm probably going to change that. So I'm going to make a switch statement, okay? And so I'm going to show you how to do the switch statement. So switch, and here you're going to put an M, right? And basically a switch statement is kind of like an advanced if-else ladder, or else-if ladder. So basically it's like an if statement, but instead of ifs, we use cases. So case 0, I'll say case 1, break, case 2, and I'll explain this later. Just hold on, break. And actually, no, we can do that. Case 3, break, and case 4, break. There we go. So now we have up here 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, when it chooses this method, okay, what's going to happen is it's going to say, if I can, okay, so case 1 basically means that's the exact same as if m equals 1. That's the exact same thing, except it's just cases. So we say switch, we put in the variable that we want to test. So case 1 basically means if m equals 1, or case 2 if m equals 2. We can even say 100, or we can even put in strings. I don't know what I'm doing here. We can put in strings, so like that. Obviously, this would be an error though, because our m variable is an integer, so it cannot equal a string. But Yeah, 1, 2, 3, or 4. So you can do an if statement. So I mean that still works, but I'm just showing you the switch statement here. And we need this break after each case. Remember to put this so it knows to break off of the switch statement and continue down here. Okay? So basically, case 1, this means divide. If we divide, that means we are going to say, let's actually create an integer right here. Int calc. We're going to say calc equals 1, return calc. All right, actually, no. We're not going to do any of this. Sorry. This is it's just I'm just running off of it as I go. So we're not actually going to make it return anything. Let's go ahead and not make that return anything. Void. Sorry about this. Okay, yeah. So I was going to go one way with it, and now I want to go the other way. So just bear with me here. You did learn the switch statement though. So now for these cases, we can create 4 different methods. So private int, and we'll have to return something here. Int add. Int num1, int num2. Okay, and now I can just copy this, paste it 3 more times. So I'll say sub for subtract, div for divide, and mult for multiplying. And in here, in our parameters here, I'm also going to say int num1, int num2, and we can put that in here as well. So num1, num2, and I'll go over this once I'm done with this. All right. So case 1, that would be dividing. So we could put a comment in here, divide, and basically we can say int sol equals div num1, num2, and now we can copy this, paste it here, here, and here. So number 2 would be multiply, so we could say mult. Number 3 would be subtract, so we could say sub. Number 4 would be add, so we could say add. And now just down here we could say system.out.println solution is plus sol, and sol means is short for solution, in case you were wondering why I picked that variable name. So we'll just put this all down here. Oh, and whoops, I just realized that I did this wrong. Okay, case 2 would be mult. Case 3 would be sub. Case 4 would be add. And this needs to be, or actually, you know what? No. Yeah, this is very unorganized. I'm sorry about this. Let's just make it up here. And I'll go over this. There we go. So now basically we go into here, and all we have to do is say return num1 plus num2. Why are we getting an error here? What? Oh, okay. That was just an Eclipse bug. So minus, do the divide, and for multiplying we need the asterisk. So right there. All right, so let me go through this one more time, just because I know this was very unorganized. But all right, basically we start off with our main method calling our new instance of the main, right? So then we have them put in numbers and then select which kind of calculation they want. So if they type in 1, it's going to go to choose method here. And basically choose method, we have parameter method here, which is m. We have a switch statement then that goes through it. So m, if m equals 1, then we're going to divide, which is what we set up here, 1 divide. So it's going to say sol equals div, which is a method we made that divides our 2 numbers together, and then returns it into this variable here, which we then print out. And it does that for all of them. So let me run it here. So I'll say 1 and 5, and I want to multiply, so I'll say 2. Solution is 5, because 1 times 5 is 5. If we try that again, and we say 10 and 50, and say we want to add, so 4, that would be 60. So as you can see, it does work here. So yeah, go leave a like, go and subscribe. I know this was a little unorganized, but next tutorial we're going to be getting into some exciting stuff with do-while loops and for loops and all of that stuff. So go ahead and leave a like, go and subscribe. Let's try for 30 likes this time, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.